What's up, Facebook and YouTube? My name is Jen Kronk, and I'm here to talk to you about executive functioning and the UDL framework. So if you followed my videos at all or my YouTube channel, you'll know that I am an educator, I'm a Google fanatic, and I do a lot of training in Google Apps for education, but I'm also learning disabled. I have dyslexia, and I also have some pretty significant executive dysfunction. And I've been recently doing a lot of my videos based around the UDL framework, which is Universal Design for Learning. And there are 3 principles in Universal Design, and I'm going to talk about the second principle today, which is providing multiple means of action and expression. And I'm going to be focusing on action. And when I say action, there's a bunch of guidelines within the principles, and the guidelines that I'm dealing with in this particular video all have to do with providing options for executive functions. So what kind of options can we provide our students for their executive functioning? Now, executive functioning is huge. And if you take a look at the checkpoints in the UDL framework, which, by the way, if you want to see the UDL framework, go to cast.org, CAST.org, create an account. It's free. There's a ton of resources in there. It's just amazing. Going back to the checkpoints, though. There's, under the guideline number 6, there are 4 checkpoints. I'm going to talk about the first 2, appropriate goal setting and strategy development. And the reason why I'm talking about those is because I like to share about how I modify things that work for me as an adult who still deals with these learning disabilities. I've said many times I hate text. I can't stand text because visually, if I'm reading text, especially if it's on a digital screen, I am going to miss things. It is just a simple fact. I will not miss them if I use a screen reader or if I have somebody read them to me, but I truly can't trust my eyes sometimes, and it can be really frustrating. And because of that, I've learned to do some modifications. Now, my first modification professionally was obviously using a digital calendar. I started off with one shared calendar across all the districts that I'm in, so at some times that has been one calendar that's shared between 5 different districts. And then I decided I need something a little bit better. I needed to be able to take me out of the equation because I was still making errors. If I visually have to take in a date or time, there is a possibility, as with anybody, but especially with me, that I might misinterpret that date and time and put something wrong. My disability manifests very strongly with numbers, and I wish it didn't because it's made calendaring very interesting. So I needed to take me out of the equation. As I started using a service called youcanbook.me. youcanbook.me has been a great service for me. It allows people to book time directly on my Google Calendar. I have separate You Can Book Me calendars for each one of the districts that I'm in, but it all feeds one calendar for me called Kronk's Work Schedule, and it is a Google Calendar. And the great thing is I pay for an account, but you can have a free one. The great thing for me is that my You Can Book Me calendar will automatically send reminders to people who I have appointments with. It'll also send follow-ups asking for feedback or would you like to schedule another appointment. So it does a lot of automating for me, which is also fantastic. But even with these digital approaches, having the shared calendar and then having essentially appointment slots, but in a really, really slick way, I still found that I am missing the strategic part of my planning. And strategically, I was neglecting a lot of my personal life and my goal setting. So in comes my analog process. I started working with this fabulous assistant principal called Nicole Mangieri, and she turned me on to the Passion Planner, and this has shown up in one of my videos before. And the reason why I wanted to address this is because I need an analog process too, and I'm just really understanding just how deeply I needed an analog process. When I take my planner out and I have my calendar in front of me, my digital calendar, I am putting everything in this paper calendar as well. Now, some of you might think I'm crazy, But for me, the analog process has been helping me get things more concretely in my mind. And remember that if you don't have a learning disability, you don't have your brain playing tricks on you. Mine does it very frequently. I find doing this keeps me in my days more, and it makes it easier for me to do my long range planning, which is really, really useful. So I know if I have a project, like my magic numbers are 3 and 5. If I have a smaller project, I know I'm going to have to touch it at least 3 times across 3 days. If I have a larger project, let's say if I'm doing a brand new conference presentation, I'm probably going to be in that at least probably 5 times. If it's something that I've done before, I'm probably going to just touch it 3 times. But I know that when I backwards plan, that's going to show up on the schedule this way. But most recently, the thing that I found was really interesting about using this Passion Planner was a new technique I picked up off of a YouTube video about highlighting my time chunks to see where I'm spending my time. And this has been an eye-opener for me. So I now highlight my time after it's spent in categories. So I have green for self-care, I have orange for time wasters, yellow for family, blue for work, and purple for service, anytime I'm showing up and being of service in life for other people. So this is what it looks like. And yes, I do get completely geeky with stickers and all that stuff, but you can see that I'm doing my time. And in the beginning of my week, I had some big time chunks that for me were time wasters. And I have to see it in order to be able to correct it. The other thing that got corrected by me tracking my time, which I thought was really interesting, was my self-care. In the beginning of the week, there was no self-care whatsoever. And I did track my sleep as self-care, but my sleep was 4.5 to 5.5 hours tops. Certainly not something that's very healthy. Now that I'm tracking my self-care, I'm seeing multiple instances of self-care throughout my day and longer periods of sleep. I'm also seeing where my priorities are. So I have some big projects I'm working on, but if I don't go ahead and schedule them in this planner ahead of time, those projects aren't going to be touched, because once I hit the ground running, if I haven't already pre-scheduled those times, they're just not going to get any attention. So this is only my 3rd week of using the Passion Planner, and I'm using it from the mindset of somebody that has executive dysfunction and seeing if this is helping me stay on top of things more. And I find so far that it is, and I also find that I'm beginning to feel a balance between personal life and work life and taking care of myself as well as my family. So I will continue to update these videos as I experience new things while I'm jumping on this to work on my executive functioning. And if you haven't already started the school year, I hope you have a wonderful start to the school year. If you've already jumped in there, rock it, and I hope you have a great day.